I have some terrible news that will make you hate life even more than you already do. So, this is an article from The Hill. A House panel approves a $25 billion boost for the defense budget. Yes, these insane war hawks are still pumping money to the defense. Let's get into this article. The House Armed Service Committee voted Wednesday to add nearly $25 billion to President Biden's proposed defense budget as more than a dozen Democrats sided with Republicans on bulking up Pentagon funding. Now, I would like to go ahead and state, and the article gets into this, but Joe Biden's defense proposal was actually an increase from Donald Trump's. So he actually wanted to increase it, but these insane Republicans and Democrats as well went and said, nah, that's not enough. And so they proposed an even bigger increase. That's what's going on here. The committee voted 42 to 17 in an amendment from Representative Mike Rogers, a Republican from Alabama, the ranking member of the panel, to set the fiscal 2022 defense budget at $778 billion. $37 billion more than approved for this year and $25 billion more than Biden asked for next year. Most importantly, this amendment ensures we have the resources to counter the growing threat from China and other adversaries, Rogers said at the National Defense Authorization Act. That's what they always say. The growing threat of the Chinese caravans that are going to invade San Francisco. It hasn't happened yet, and it's not going to happen. I mean, these growing threats, they say this stuff to scare the American people. And let me not say that it's not going to happen, because with how crazy these people are, anything can happen. So I take that statement back. I retract that statement. But that's their go-to line. You know, the growing threats from Russia and China and Iran and whoever the fuck else that we're supposed to be afraid of. The article goes on. The bulk of the funding in the amendment, $9.8 billion, would go to procurement, including $4.7 billion more for shipbuilding, $1.7 billion for aircraft, and $878 million for combat vehicles. So you ask for healthcare, they say, nah, they want combat vehicles, right? This is supposed to be a representative democracy, a constitutional republic. You ask for a higher minimum wage, the American people, they want aircrafts. They want aircrafts. You ask for, I don't know, legalizing marijuana. They obviously want to build the ships. Let's build the ships. Let's continue. With the Armed Services Committee split between 31 Democrats and 28 Republicans, the GOP needed just 2 Democrats to side with them to be successful. In the end, 14 Democrats, including some members with national security backgrounds or in vulnerable districts. Take note of that. Some members with national security backgrounds. That means they're corrupt. That means they have special interests. That means they did this for reasons other than, quote unquote, protecting America. Today, we need to put forward an authorization that projects strength, is forward thinking, and treats our service members with dignity and respect. The president's budget, I have been saying ever since it was released, that it does not do enough. We need 3 to 5% real growth. That's Representative Elaine Laura. That's a Democrat that said that bullshit. That's a Democrat. The debate over the defense budget has been percolating since Biden released his budget in May, but Wednesday's markup took place amid the backdrop of the chaotic exit from Afghanistan that included the deaths of 13 U.S. service members. Of course, that Kabul airport explosion is going to be exploited to justify throwing even more money at the already bloated defense budget. Republicans say they are planning dozens of amendments related to Afghanistan that are expected to be debated later. Biden's $753 billion budget represented a slight bump from the Trump administration's last defense budget of $740 billion. That's what I just said earlier. So he already increased it, but they said, no, that's not enough. Let's increase it even more. And the reasoning for that was, inflation. Absolutely insane, mad, rabid our politicians are. Now, here's somebody with some sense. House Armed Services Committee Chairman Adam Smith, a Democrat from Washington, opposed Rogers' amendment, arguing that the single most important thing that the Defense Department needs to do right now is spend its money wisely. I would argue that, and we need to take money away from it, as in cut a lot of its funding. If we give them another $23.9 billion, it takes the pressure off. Item after item after item, we have spent billions of dollars without getting anything for the money that we have spent. That does not make us safer. Somebody with a little bit of sense. And last but not least, I want to talk about Ro Khanna's statements. He had something to say about this. I don't understand why we need, at a time when we are withdrawing from Afghanistan, when we have been withdrawing from Iraq, a budget that is higher than the height of the Cold War. The Democrats right now have the presidency, we have the Senate, we have the House, and you're telling me our party, when we have both chambers and the president, are going to succumb to a Republican addition to the defense budget? I can answer your question, Ro Khanna. Yes. Yes. Now, this isn't set in stone. The NDAA is a policy bill, not a spending bill, meaning that if the final product has a top line of $778 billion, a separate appropriations bill with a matching dollar figure would also have to pass for the increase to actually become reality. So this isn't reality yet, okay? But it may very well become reality. So as we exit Afghanistan, as we end one of the forever wars that we were fighting, the corrupted politicians went and said, let's put more money into the defense budget. I don't know if this is revenge for getting Afghanistan. I mean, they're probably going to do this bullshit anyway. But this is insane. You know, you ask for things, you know, material well-being for the population, and they say, no, we want to funnel more money to the war machine. You know, you ask for health care, they give you a tank. American politics at its finest, everyone.